Well, let's stay with this story now. And joining us is South African Policing Union spokesperson Lesiba Thobakgale to discuss this growing, it seems, trend. A number of police officers who are using their service pistols to commit murders and suicide. The police commissioner here in Gauteng, Lesiba, good afternoon, by the way, and thank you for coming on, says we give our members these tools to protect themselves against criminals. So it's very disheartening to see the very same tools being used to kill their loved ones. As SAPU, are you aware of this trend, and is it a surprise to you that things are turning out this way?
Thank you, Butabo, to have us. We appreciate the platform. We are not surprised by such events, which are quite sad. If you remember previously, we have spoken about this issue quite at length, where during our 2022 National Congress, which was held in Polokwane, we took a resolution. In the resolution, we are saying that revolution against corruption, drugs and gender-based violence, that revolution has to start with us as workers being the working class in this regard, which clearly it refers to the law enforcement officers. The issue of mental health within the law enforcement spectrum is indeed a challenge, specifically when you look at SAPS, the nature of the job. It is that type of a stressful job. You attend to different types of crime scenes, and the issues that we've been raising over the years about employee health and wellness component not being quite sufficient in terms of the necessary manpower and the necessary resources for our members to be debriefed after any incident that they would have attended that needs debriefing. And that problem, unfortunately, it has not been resolved because as we speak, EHW component within SAPS, it is not yet fully capacitated with the necessary psychologists, psychiatrists, and being in social workers who should be debriefing our members after each and every incident. Yeah. So we clearly condemn any form of violence by anyone in this regard, because now we are seeing 2 law enforcement officers who have lost their lives. We are seeing other victims as well, whom one has lost their life and others are still, they find themselves having been shot and are injured. We clearly condemn such acts, and we say that we really need to see a change when it comes to the issue of employee health and wellness when it comes to law enforcement officers.
I quote again one of the statements made by the Provincial Commissioner, Tommy Mtombeni, who was, of course, overlooking this particular matter because these officers are within his province. He says, police officers are urged to make use of employee health and wellness facilities to assist them in dealing with any problems they may be facing. So the leadership of police are of the view and of the belief that such facilities do exist. It may be that police officers are not making use of them.
I think let's put it up in this way, as it is, to say there is that component, and it is there in each and every province that is carrying that responsibility, but it is not fully capacitated, where the issue of debriefing and even where members could go to EHW to go and seek help, where they are able to raise their hand and say, you know what, I'm overwhelmed by the nature of work or by personal circumstances. Unfortunately, in terms of manpower, in terms of them having the necessary resources for them to go and see members and visit members at different police stations, that is not there. If indeed we had enough psychologists, we had enough psychiatrists, we had enough social workers, and them having even the necessary resources, we don't think that we would be where we are. We should also reflect that there was a summit that was held by SAPS, which relates to the issue of employee health and wellness, and there were commitments that were made there, and those commitments, they haven't been implemented per such. It is quite a process for those to be implemented, but we believe that capacitating EHW, it should be an immediate thing because it is important for them to attract and keep them. The challenge which is there is that SAPS is not able to attract and even maintain the professionals, because when they come in on an issue that we've been raising for the longest time, to say they get militarized, they are not left to practice as professionals. They get given ranks and this and this and that. And there's issue of undermining of reports where those professionals are making. So we really need to move from that. That's why we then made a proposal that they should come and be allowed to practice as professionals for them, having their own structure and their own policy, not in terms of the militarized policy of SAPS, which means when you look at the issues of compensations and when we look at issues that has to do with their conditions of service, they have to be different as it is those of professionals, so they can be retained. But unfortunately, they come in and then they get absorbed by other departments when they look at the greener pastures elsewhere. So we need to deal with that challenge as well head on.
So when you're saying capacity issues, you're talking in simple terms, in terms of numbers. There aren't enough psychologists. There aren't enough professionals. That's one aspect of it, which you're saying you unpacked at that summit. But part of the reason why there aren't enough is because, one, you're unable to attract them because of the pay packages that they are being offered. But two, you are unable to attract and retain them because of the military ranking system that you're saying is in existence. And number three, in terms of the compromised reports that you're having to deal with. Are those the only three areas? Is there more that you're saying needs to be dealt with, even though you're saying it's not an easy thing that can happen overnight?
I mean, the issue of retaining the professionals in terms of dealing with employee health and wellness, it is quite a challenge, and which is quite important in this regard, because that is what, at the end of the day, brings the issue of capacity at the forefront. And management needs to be committed to these issues, because the lives of the members, the wellness of the members, it is at stake here. I mean, such an incident, unfortunate incident like this, it would have been avoided if EHW had enough resources, more especially when it comes to those professionals. And another challenge that is there, which all of those others that we mentioned that we have picked up, is that because of the militarized structure of SAPS and them falling under the very same militarized structure, it then becomes problematic for them, because when they write reports in SAPS, it is about the rank and file, and then they write it to the superiors. Those reports they get to be not to be taken seriously, to be implemented in this regard. That is why then it then appears to be that what they recommend, it is not being heeded to because of the rank structure, because of one with a higher rank will undermine a professional who comes with a lower rank. That is why we then came with this position that we placed in council to say that they must have their own structure and policy, so that when they give that report, they can give a report as professionals, not as one of a junior member and so on when it goes to the highest ranks, because the commanders, they are looking at the crime is in the red, I need to bring it to the green. It is all about that, and that is what comes forth. And those reports, when they get undermined, it is about just only looking at the issue of crime, but not looking at those who should fight this crime. They are also human beings. They face issues. Their work itself, it becomes stressful on them, and it becomes difficult for them, sometimes to cope, that they really need to be relieved. If the professionals are saying that it's so and so, he needs to be relieved from their duties, they need to get some time and attend specific sessions and this and this and that. That is where also another challenge comes at. But if we have a structure and policy that is related to EHW in this regard, we believe SAPS will be able to attract and even retain the professionals, and we would be able to make strides in this regard.
All right, Lesiba, let's leave it there. Much appreciated. Lesiba Thobakgale speaks on behalf of the South African Policing Union. They're following that incident in Protea Glen in Soweto.